I'm here to tell you some Korean folk tales. I would like to tell you some Korean folk tales. In English, and I would encourage you to at least learn Korean character, Korean alphabet, so you will be able to read some Koreans, because I'll be writing down in Korean names in Korean, and I'll go back and forth in English and Korean. Here, the first I would like to tell you, 장화 홍련전. 장화 홍련전. Number one, 전 means story. 전 means story, and these are names of two girls. 장화 and 홍련. 장화 and 홍련. If you guys are a little aware of like K-pop or Korean K-drama or something, you would notice that these are not common names for regular Korean girls nowadays. This story goes back like a long time goes back. This is a folk tale. So some of the stories that I will tell you in the future, they're like, anonymous. Like nobody knows where the story came from, or like what time of what era it was written. But however, this one actually has some kind of like documented forms. It goes back to like 1818, and then there was like there's another version, 1865. So yeah, so this is like it's actually based on some kind of books. But then again, we're talking about like 1800s. So it was like a long time ago. It was not the modern time. Like it's not modern Korea. I'm guessing this is like Joseon Dynasty. So this is like really old-fashioned girls' names. Nobody really names their daughters, their girls Janghwa and Hongryoen anymore. But Hong can mean red, right? Hwa can mean flower. But in like modern Korean, when you say Janghwa, that's like number one that comes to mind is rain boots. Rain boots. Right? Rain boots. So yeah, nobody really names their daughters these names anymore. But anyways, that is the story of Janghwa and Hongryoen, Janghwa Hongryoen. So there was Janghwa, there was Hongryoen a long time ago. A slightly taller one should be the older child, I think. So that's, I don't know, Janghwa and Hongryoen. Looking happy. Because at the time, these are two girls, so they used to have, in traditional Korea, we used to have this hair code. Can I say hair code? That if you were not married, if you were single, you used to have long braided hair. The same goes to boys. If they were not married, then like the first hairstyle that they could do until that they get married, it's long braided hair. So, this is like total TMI, but I'll show you anyways. So this is the back of any people's, right? So this is like their neck area. So they used to have this long braided hair, right? So when they get married, they make the hair go up, and they used to make into a bun, right? And then they put some kind of like hair piece to fix the hair. So this is single. This is single hair. That's married woman's hair. Man's, on the other hand, goes on top of their head. So from outside, from outside, it looks like that. And usually 양반 used to wear the see-through long hat. I don't know if any of you guys are aware of gat. This is called gat. Gat, right? So this is pretty much like three different basic hairstyles in Joseon Dynasty. I'm going back, so I can go back to Janghwa Hongryoen. Let me introduce the rest of the family. So, okay, so I can do this for the rest. Okay, so now, of course, so that's two sisters, two daughters, and then there's this father and the mother. So the father obviously had that kind of weird looking hair, right? And then he worked for the government. So he's like, now I would say he was a sheriff or a head officer of police station at that time. So yeah, he was an honorable man. And looking happy, right? And the mom, of course. So this mom gave birth to the little girls, to the two girls. So, and again, according to the tradition, she used to have that bond. But then so this is the first, this is the second, this is the baby one. When Hongryoen became 5 years old, she dies. Bye, she dies. So this is where the misfortunate story starts. So she dies, and of course they grieved. But then soon after, traditionally, it's like, especially for men, when they become widowed, it was a very common thing that they would get remarried, because they usually have children from their first marriage or the second marriage, and men were not supposed to take care of their babies at home because they had to work. So it was a pretty common thing. So he remarried, and then usually like the second moms, like the stepmom, they usually have bad tempers, mean characteristics, and I'm gonna give her bad eyebrows there. Mean characteristics, and usually it's like they hate the children from the first marriage. I don't really know why, but then this, I don't know, it looks like this marriage happened to be successful, because the stepmom gave birth to 3 boys. Wow, 3 boys. 아들, right? 아들 셋, I would say. That's 하나, 아들 하나, 아들 하나, 아들 하나, 아들 둘, 아들 셋. So it's 아들 셋, 3 sons, right? It's 딸, means daughter. 딸 means daughter. 아들 means son. So everything was going well until Janghwa became a little miss. She became a little lady, right? So now she is supposed to get married. Then, like, traditionally, this is pretty similar to any culture. That what happens in Korea is that she becomes, 17, 18, maybe 17, 18, maybe. Then she's getting ready to get married. So matchmaking happens, right? So matchmaking, we say 선. So 선 happens, then the father decides, so-and-so's son is really outstandingly good looking, and he looks trustworthy, and his future looks great. And then they send each other letters like, well, we have this daughter from my first marriage. She's beautiful, she's good at stitching, she cooks well. What do you think? I know that your son, is he ready to get wedded? And then, so they're kind of like sending letters, and sometimes they actually meet personally, like the parents, the fathers, and they drink a little, and then they kind of like search. I shouldn't say search, but like, they would like to know like what kind of family backgrounds or like the atmosphere, what kind of relationships they have. So they kind of smell each other for like how things are. And then if they like each other, then they go, okay, so I am willing to give my daughter as wife of your son. It's usually you give your daughters, and for the parents who have sons, they receive their daughters, right? Like, so when they get married in Korean, we have get married, the word 결혼하다. You also have the same meaning, 시집가다. In here, 시집 means my husband's parents' house. So when you say, oh, are you married? You also say, did you go to your parents, your husband's parents' house? It's the same thing. 결혼했어? It's a question. Are you married? 결혼했어? 시집 갔어? It's the same thing, right? So traditionally, of course, we had this like, dowry system, right? So as far as the stepmother concerns, that now she has 3 boys to look after, but then she also has to send these 2 girls to their husband's parents' houses, which means they require money because they have to, when they get married, they also have to bring their dowry. So, of course, the father, the sheriff of the village, is really happy. Like, Janghwa, the first daughter, oh, she grew up so well. She's such a beautiful girl with great temperature. She's going to be a great mother. And like, so, like, the father is happy. Yay, yay, good job on growing so well, Janghwa, right? But then, like, the mom she's not happy. So she's like, she's thinking like, I don't want them to go get married. I don't want them to take all this wealth. I want to give all this wealth and everything to my children, my boys. Girls are useless. That's what happens in traditional lives, right? Like, women were not as important as men. So now, so she comes, she thinks of like, oh, I don't want her to get married. I don't want her to take a lot of her father's fortune. So here, the first son, his name is 장쇠. I'm pretty sure that's his name. Yeah. So, well, it doesn't really say that's the first son in the story, but I'm pretty sure that's the first son because the first son is the oldest, the smartest, right? So his name is 장쇠. So stepmom orders 장쇠 to kill 장화. Isn't that sad? This is a whole another story. Yeah, so stepmom comes up with a horrible idea that like, you know what? Let's make her look horrible, right? This time. Yeah. So this is the story of Janghwa now. So let's make her reputation as a well-educated, well-behaving daughter of the sheriff. So her good reputation ruined. So what this woman came up with, the horrible idea that she came up with was, let's pretend that she was pregnant and had a miscarriage. Isn't that horrifying? So that's called 임신, right? So let's make her look like she's pregnant, 임신. And then had miscarriage. So 장쇠, you know what 장쇠 did? Let's give eyes for 장쇠 and also frown face. This is really scary. This is kind of horrifying. It's like I I read the story. I know this story pretty well, but still, I didn't really remember all the details. So I had to go back and read it again, and I was kind of, I was shocked, because this woman, this stepmom, is so evil. So, uh, so what day? When I say what day is, I'm talking about these two, right? I'm talking about these two. So what they did was, number one, they caught a big, what am I drawing? They caught a big, yes, they caught a big rat, and they they pull all the hair out, which means, I'm guessing that's me, which means they killed the rat, and they put in Janghwa's bed. So one day she was sleeping, right? She was sleeping in her room, nothing worried, just thinking like, oh yeah, sometime soon I'll be married, I'll be leaving this home. So she's sleeping, right? She's sleeping, and then they put the killed rat under her blanket somewhere there. So when the father looked at her in the morning, looking like she had a miscarriage. Isn't that horrifying? So that what does that mean? That means she's not top quality to get married because she had adultery, right? So this ruined her reputation in total. And then what do you think that happened to her? So then she was, of course, depressed. She didn't really understand what was going on. And she's like, no, father, no, that's not true. I didn't do anything. I don't even have a boyfriend. But that was a definite proof that the father saw. So the father wouldn't believe her, like what I saw, like I have proof, and you still keep on saying like you're innocent. You're not innocent. Like you cannot. You're already ruined. You cannot get married. So now she's all depressed, and 장세 lures her to some kind of like water, like a pond and stuff, and he pushes her. Let's push her. So he pushes her, and she falls into some kind of lake or something, and she falls into water and she dies. But then, so this is the magical point of the traditional story. But then a tiger jumped onto 장세's way, and the tiger, I cannot draw a tiger. I think I'll just draw large, angry looking cat. I'm tiger. A tiger. Oh, I'm not going to let you get away with this. And then he took 장쇠's both ears and one arm, and wow, this is another horrifying story. One leg. So the tiger get arm, leg, both ears of 장쇠. What does that mean? Now 장쇠 lost his arm, a leg, and both ears, which means he cannot hear. So, that happened. That happened. So, all this anger that like the mom, the stepmom, obviously it was shocked that, oh, I was only just thinking that we will just push Janghwa into the waters and that's it. And, you know, she would die and she wouldn't have to spend so much money on her marriage. And Jang-se will just come back home. But then, you know, he got injured by this unexpected tiger. So all this anger, all this suppressed anger goes to who? Goes to who? Yeah, Hongryoen, the second daughter. I'll tell you about the second daughter next time. Bye!